Hey, welcome to Game Layer, where we explore the science of play and the quest of learning. I am your host, David Colmer. Theme music by Caleb Willits. Welcome down to Game Layer.
I play piano.
I play chess.
I play everything.
I play games of my own invention.
I'd like to move to the domain of play.
Hello, Caitlin. Thank you so much, and welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I am doing so good. I'm excited to have this conversation and ready to support you with this game layer. This is exciting.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we've scheduled a few of these now, and then one or the other, our calendar has just not liked it, right? So.
You know what? I think that's the amazingness of a gamer. Like, we're freaking resilient and persistent, and we keep trying even though there's failures. So here we are today. Yeah.
Look at you right out of the gate. You have an analogy, you have an illustration. I love it.
Good.
Awesome. So
yeah.
If you want to just go ahead and start out by just introducing yourself and whatever you're interested in or what you're doing these days.
Yeah. So my name is Caitlin Johnson, and I'm the founder of Bold Bird Consulting, and I literally help leaders level up their impact. And for the last 10 years, I have been using the science and the psychology behind games to help leaders make a bigger impact in life. And I've created some really epic corporate strategies that drive results and increase engagement. So total nerd over here, but this is what I love to do. I love to identify ways to engage and motivate and help people strive for that next win in life.
Yeah, and I think we met. My next question was, where did we meet? We met at a conference, right?
We did, yes, at an ATD.
And you were presenting, and I was really impressed with your approach on gamifying business strategy. Because a lot of times I think we hear about gamifying learning, but I really like that concept, and I feel like it really sets you apart.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I use gamification. So to just level set with, and most likely your audience understands what this term is, but
we'll see.
in case there's anyone listening who doesn't, it's basically a fancy word that says turning something into a game that wasn't already, trying to drive engagement and results. And so I use the science and psychology behind game design to business strategy. Even, personally, I have gamified my unemployment. I gamify everything. I gamify my business development, and I really focus on epic missions, quests, and streaks to be able to help people see the progress of their efforts. Because as soon as things get hard, you and I have talked about like hard fun and easy fun. As soon as things get hard, we just feel like an epic failure. Our imposter syndrome kicks in. So we've got to build strategies that show we're making progress in this journey of life. And that's how I talk about gamifying business strategies and then gamifying your career path.
I love it. I heard the word quest in there, and it rang a bell because I stole that from you.
Did you?
I'm calling this the quest for learning, right?
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Definitely borrowing from you there. Maybe,
you know what? I say all the time, like, steal shamelessly. I mean, don't take my IP, but
like an artist. Well, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like an artist. Steal shamelessly like an artist. Quests, I absolutely love them. And my idea of a quest is more of like a 90-day objective that you're going after. Like, what can I do to level up in life in these next 90 days? And when I first met you, I personally was on a quest to conquer my imposter.
Yeah, you talked a lot about that right after I met you.
Yes.
I noticed that.
I mean, I've got a lot of experience. I've been doing what I do for 10 years, but we all have that creaky little voice that says you're just not good enough. And in my quest to conquer this imposter, what I realized is that my imposter will never go away because I'm always leveling up. And it's when you're leveling up that you step into the unknown and learning new skills, doing uncomfortable things. It's just part of the unknown. And so now I view my imposter not as a bad thing, but as an opportunity to level up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm almost there. I'm about to conquer the big boss if I'm feeling that voice on my shoulder.
That shows you that you're growing.
Yes.
Right? It's both exciting and annoying, I think, because it's like, oh, yeah, I'm growing, and oh, it hurts to grow, or it's scary to grow. It's that friction point, right? You're driving a clutch.
It is, but it's the mindset of how to view it, because you could view it as scary, and many times you are doing scary things because you've never done it before. But if you also view it as progress, then it doesn't have to be so scary.
Yeah, it's like you're layering something positive over it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was a really cool, this is completely off topic, but there was a really cool real estate podcast I listened to. And every time this family went out and bought a house, they're like, okay, another toilet we have to clean for our real estate business. Let's work a vacation into that mortgage for this new rental property.
Oh.
And I thought that was a really, almost gamification, more just like a business hack.
Yes.
To say, there's a silver lining here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got a new toilet to clean, but we get to go to Hawaii. So.
Right. Yeah. So, every time you clean those particular toilets, it's like, oh, yeah, more.
Yeah, I remember Hawaii now.
The rainbow at the end, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to ask every guest what their Bartle player taxonomy is. And I know that you also use a quadrant. So I don't know how similar your quadrant of player taxonomy is to the one that Bartle put together.
No, I use the same one.
A little bit. Okay, it's the same one.
I use the same one. I don't love Bartle, Richard Bartle, who came up with these 4 player types, killer. I just don't love that title.
I feel you.
I prefer to call it either a strategist or a dominator.
Dominator works.
Yeah. So mine that I connect with the most is achiever.
Okay.
So I love setting big goals and accomplishing the goals and continually leveling up. I love collecting badges, whether they're digital badges on my Garmin watch or, crossing the finish line of an Ironman. So, I mean, an Ironman in and of itself is like an epic achievement. And I've done 2 half because, of course, I needed to beat my personal best. So I did 2 of them. So. Yeah.
There you go.
Teach their own.
That's awesome.
And then what's interesting? When you and I had met several months ago, we were talking about the player types, and I shared that Explorer is my least maybe favorite or dominating player type. But ever since I said that, maybe it's the achiever in me. I'm like, oh, no. I've got to figure this out. And so I've been playing to the Explorer that's been just like hidden inside of me. And it's been so much fun. Like I've been looking for ways to intentionally explore. And I suppose as a business owner, I have some of that natural exploration in me. So, so I see it a little bit differently. You have to lean into
it, right? That's one way I've heard this described, is leaning into one of the other parts of the square. I am an explorer, and I think what's interesting is maybe we rubbed off on each other a little bit, because recently I've been doing a streak where I turned on my Apple Fitness on my my phone, and I'm trying to do the steps per day. I'm not doing the 10,000 because I heard a podcast that says that's actually audacious, and or about like 4,000 or 5,000 a day is actually scientifically a good goal.
I could
but I've
see
also
that.
been working out and that as well. So
yeah. That's awesome.
Whatever.
Okay, so how many days?
That was TMI.
How many days
I have to look up
have
on
you
my
been streaming?
phone. At least like 2 months. I've been you get like the red ring on Apple.
Yes.
And have you ever seen it? Like when you exceed it, like it spins with like red fire of sparks.
Yeah.
Like I crave seeing that because it's such a good visual.
Yes.
I guess I'm a visual person. I just love seeing that.
Right.
So it's a really good
you're
example, I
achiever.
think, to me of just that gamification of, even though it's just a little animation that someone created that's playing on my cell phone, I want to do it.
I know.
And I'm not even a natural achiever. I'm not. I'm an explorer.
Yeah. You're an explorer.
But
so
I think we can gain new habits, right?
Yeah. Well, I definitely believe that different environments trigger different game player personas. So
For sure.
if as I am an entrepreneur, it triggers my explorer. It also triggers other things. For example, I think I've shared with you that I'm silently competing against James Clear. So James Clear is the author of Atomic Habits, and I'm writing a book on how to gamify your goals. And so I've been studying his process because his book is usually one of the top purchased books during New Year's resolutions and setting goals. Because people want to understand their habits. So, buy his book. I encourage you to buy his book. But then I want you to buy mine in order to sustain the habits and have some fun with the habits.
Yeah.
So, my Dominator, that killer, as Richard Bartle says, is coming out.
That was a very smooth plug.
right?
Just like
Yes.
seamless. Yeah.
Just follow me for when my book comes out this year.
I love it. Well, congratulations on writing a book. That's what I should say.
Thank you.
That's a big process, right? I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it is. Oh, I have a streak on writing my book.
Nice. How do you track that, or how does that work?
So I have an app that I like to use. It's called Habitat.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna write that
I
down.
like this app because it has an internal chat feature to it. So it taps into the achiever with the streak component. It could also tap into the dominator because you can invite friends
Cool.
to go along with your streak. And then it also attracts the socializer or the connector because of the chat feature in there. And so I have had friends of mine join me on the book writing streak so that we can encourage each other and then just share every week what are we doing towards writing our book. And so I think I'm at, hold on, I gotta pull it up right now. I am at like 153 weeks. Yeah, I know your eyes just went huge. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Great.
When you want to accomplish something epic in life, you usually have to like squeeze it into everything else,
Right.
right?
Right.
So being a business owner, being a wife, being a mother of 2 teenage daughters
Those
who
are
are
some
amazing.
big rocks.
Exactly. So if
Yeah.
I also want to write a book, this is what I coach leaders that I support. It's what streak of action can you do? And don't be a hero with this streak. It's got to be simple things because the intent is keep the consistent action going.
Consistency is what popped in my mind. Has to be
100%.
consistent.
100%. So it has been so easy along this route, or it could be so easy to say, oh, I don't have time. I can't work on that. I have other things to do. But I've kept a streak of one thing a week. Maybe it's writing for 30 minutes. Maybe it's researching a key component. Maybe it's talking to a potential future buyer of my book to run an idea past them. So it's every week, it's one thing to get this book out into the world.
I love that. And you're just every week, there's a different way that you're pushing the ball forward. Right. And you got to have to course correct, obviously, right? Oh, I don't understand this. I got to go research now.
Yes.
Right? It
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
And the book is still coming together. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, it will come out this year because I've been working super hard on it. And I'm
I can't
excited.
help but think about this podcast because it's kind of been in the last month, just things have kind of come to a head where, okay, I have to make some big decisions on how I'm going to, produce this and put this out into the world and market this. And it's been almost 3 or 4 years in the conceptualization or development or, improving myself to get myself to where I'm ready to attempt this. Mm-hmm. And so it's scary.
It is. It is.
It
but
is
yeah.
overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I'm having dreams about it. But the good thing is the dreams find solutions for you, not nightmares.
Not all the time. But yeah,
So-
with that effort, just being consistent, you finally put something out into the world that's meaningful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just all I can relate to right now, just because it's kind of sort of to take over my
Yeah,
life
totally get
in a
it.
good way. So I have a question. I know that we've both worked at Lowe's.
Oh,
This is something you maybe didn't realize.
I was going to say, I don't think I knew this.
So almost like opposite ends of the spectrum. So I'm kind of curious about when you did work at Lowe's. I know you did some work for them at some point.
I did, yes.
Okay.
So when I
Put you on
worked
the
at
spot.
when I worked at Lowe's, if you go to Lowe's website and you go to their
Okay.
career section of their website, Lucy pops up in the bottom right hand corner. Now, Lucy is technology that I was on a team that helped bring into the company, and she will help you find a job, and she will also schedule you an interview with a hiring manager. Yeah, so really cool cutting edge technology to just help support high volume hiring and match really good people to a great job and then get not instant, but pretty quick interview capability versus the
So
back
it's
and
sort
forth
of an
phone
AI
call.
chatbot, or would you not go that far?
Yeah, it's like
calling
next
it that?
level AI chatbot, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. That sounds kind of recent then. That wasn't...
It was recent. It was probably 3-ish years ago.
Okay. Okay. So more like maybe 15 or 14 years ago, I was coming back home from Southeast Asia, and I had no car or I had no work history. And I went to Lowe's and had an interview. And when they looked me up in Homeland Security, I was not there.
Oh, where were you?
I'd been in Thailand for 7 years. So my driver's license wasn't in their database. It's like, we're not sure that he's an American, but they hired me eventually. It just took a minute.
Yeah. So what did you do?
It's just because it was a great culture in the sense that there was a really good sales model. And I felt like I learned a lot about retail there. And then obviously a lot about home improvement. I did all of their e-learnings and just learned how to lay driveways, how to do pavers, how to plant a garden, you know.
Okay, so I don't know if does your audience know that you redid a bathroom?
Maybe they don't. I redid a whole house. Yeah, right after I worked at Lowe's, I actually redid an entire house.
Nice.
I made it livable, and I doubled the appraisal value in 3 months.
Good
and it was
for
a HUD
you.
home. It was not livable. So yeah, I am a house rehabber, and that's what my family does. So I have a long background in that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's actually kind of my side hustle. It's what I want to invest in, is houses.
Very cool.
So
oh, wow.
it always seems to come up because it's what I do in my spare time. Yeah. I just wanted to ask if maybe I had taken some of the stuff that you had created. You know, I was just, I didn't realize when you were there.
No, yeah, it seems like we were not there at the same time, but no worries.
So you've talked a lot about maybe what you've done, I think, professionally, right? As far as the business strategy side. And then I know that this is also sort of maybe started for you before that, before you started your own business. Could you speak to that a little bit, how you kind of got your background knowledge in all of this?
In gamification in particular? And
in
everything
gamification, sure.
Yeah, so it was in 2014. I was actually working for Marriott International and had an amazing leader ask, how can we tap into the hearts and minds of our hourly associates? And can we use games to do it? And at first, David, I was like, WTF? Like,
Right.
what is he saying? I have never heard any of this language before, hearts and minds, which actually completely changed the direction of my career, because I was like, this is fascinating. What is he saying? And I'm really intrigued. And I highly recommend to anyone listening to read the book Switch, How to Change When Change is Hard. Page 5, it talks about you must engage the heart and mind in order to effectively change. So behind gamification is change management to its core of helping people change different behaviors. And for me, everything I built...
Oh, hey, Dave here. I just wanted to pull you aside real quick. It's true that Nick Pelling, a British-born inventor and computer programmer, is credited with inventing the term gamification back in 2002. However, according to Karl Kapp, in the 1930s, a woman from the USSR named Mary M. Burstein is credited for using the concept of applying game mechanics to improve learning outcomes, and is often called the founder of business gaming, or the mother of Soviet simulation gaming. I think that second one's better, right? It has a stronger alliteration. People also respond well to the word mother. Anyway, she simulated typewriter assembly at a typewriter factory using a methodology she dreamed up from her experience with her war games in the military. She did not call these activities games because she didn't want to be mocked in the break room. She wanted to be taken seriously. I see you, Mary. I take you seriously. I see you, Mary. Okay, back to the show.
For me, everything I build is with a deeper purpose and a bigger meaning. So within Marriott, we were trying to figure out, how do we get the frontline teams engaged with what they're doing and ultimately help create amazing vacations for the guests or business trips for the guests. And so that's where I started to learn about what exactly is gamification And it's really funny because at that point in time in my career, I was a really like serious individual. Like, I have to climb the ladder, and do all these things.
An achiever, maybe?
Yeah, the achiever. Yeah, exactly. Get all the accolades and the trophies. And I was like, fun? Who has fun at work?
For that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny that I now do this for a living. But it also just shows, I think, the power behind it, because it's got... Gamification is rooted in such strategy. Strategy of an epic mission, the purpose of why do you want to do something, and then the game mechanics help reinforce the motivation and the engagement to do it. And so that is, in 2014, that's when I started to build corporate strategies incorporating game design. And we said, hey, if we can increase guest satisfaction compared to last year's numbers by 2% points, that'd be great. That would be breakthrough. It'd be more than great. That would be breakthrough. And we got 2.6. 2.6 percentage points on increasing guest satisfaction in all of the brands, the managed brands in North America, Central and Latin America, and Canada. We're talking the Ritz-Carltons, the Marriotts, the Courtyards, and they have so many different brands.
I know. I can't keep up with Marriott.
It was impressive. It was impressive. And
they have these, what do they call them? The portfolio collection or something. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Very intriguing. Yeah.
So we increased results. And then my favorite part is that we also increased associate engagement. They just had so much fun competing against region versus region, or other airport hotels would compete against other airport hotels, and it was just a blast. And so we did a great job, and I have basically pressed repeat on that entire strategy for the past 10 years.
Wow. And so now that's led you into the quest of having your own business.
That's right.
And so was that a smooth transition? Did that happen right after Marriott, or how did that work?
Much thanks to the pandemic. Bum, bum, bum!
That's going to appear in every episode, I think.
Right? Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah, exactly. We all have such interesting stories. But yeah,
Right.
that was the door that closed and opened. It closed for my role at Marriott at that particular time because hospitality just completely stalled out.
Okay.
And then this is where I gamified my unemployment. And I was unemployed for about 9 months. 6 of those months, I literally sat behind a computer screen applying and getting auto-rejected. It was demoralizing.
I think I've recorded 7 episodes right now, and you're the 3rd person to say that they've gamified their job search.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Isn't that
Very
interesting
cool.
how common that is? I didn't even know it was really
I didn't either.
thing. But I would say
fun.
that I did it as well.
Did you?
In my own way of just tracking things on Indeed and just okay, well, I got to hit 3 today, get at least do 3 applications every other day, or setting those goals, right?
So I sat there tracking some of those similar things for 6. I realized I wasn't playing the right game. So I changed my strategy and I started to track networking outreach. So I took 5 people every single week, and within 3 months I found a job.
Interesting.
And so that's actually where I got my job at Lowe's. And it was in that same time period that I realized I wanted to create this consultancy around gamification. So I did it simultaneously as I worked at Lowe's and tried to build a side hustle and see if it could stand on its own. And
Bold Bird was born.
Bold Bird was born. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Did you start wearing yellow shoes right away, or did that come later in the process?
Okay, so for anyone listening, you have to connect with me on LinkedIn and check out my yellow shoes. But yeah, it became something pretty much right away because they're Converse yellow shoes. And post-pandemic, I just have refused to wear high heels. So when I'm on stage, whether it's doing a workshop,
those
or whatever.
ruin your life.
Oh,
yeah.
They really do.
Good
they really
choice.
do. I mean,
Of course, you wear Converse Chucks, and those, I think those give me flat feet. So I mean, it's like a sliding scale. You're moving in the right direction, but I might recommend something more like a
little
Skechers.
arch support.
Yeah, it's not as cool, but like a New Balance maybe.
Yeah.
I have wide feet, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Converse is not for you then.
They're cool, but they're flat.
Yeah. So it's my brand, but
Yeah, it's cool.
it means more than just a comfortable shoe to me.
What does it mean?
It's kind of Mr. Rogers-esque. It's as soon as I put those shoes on, it reminds me to be bold in my mission of wanting to help other people step into their ultimate impact.
Okay.
And so it truly is just like a tie on the shoes, and it's game time. It's like, let's go.
I get it.
Let's have great conversations. Let's do
get it.
meaningful work.
I have a bachelor's in theater, and it was always when I put on the costume, and as soon as I tied on the shoes, I was someone else.
Yeah.
It was something about the shoes. So somehow I get it. I don't know why I get it so thoroughly, but I think that's why.
It's just my reminder to keep being
awesome.
me and hope to inspire others.
And you do. And I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what are games, and why do we love them?
My definition of what games are, I mean, it's an opportunity to have some silly fun. It's an opportunity to play in a sandbox. It's an opportunity to get creative. It's more opportunities to learn when we don't even realize we're learning because we're having fun, and to apply the learning in the moment and see the mastery as a result of it. And that's how I prefer to use game design, is to help people level up from a mastery standpoint and see the progress of their impact. So, I mean, I'm sure so many other people have different definitions of games, but that's my view of what I appreciate about games, is being able to level up, experience mastery, and be a creative problem solver.
I love it. Well, that kind of segues into what I want to talk about next, in the sense of, so now you have Bold Bird, and you're sort of copying the success that you had at Marriott and, say, Lowe's. When you enter a client, what's the first thing you do? Or what's your process to get your next process going?
So for me to identify if you're a right fit for this strategy is to ultimately ask you questions around, what is the epic mission? What is the vision? What is it that you are looking for people to do? And what are they not doing today? So finding out that gap analysis, but ultimately it's like, help me understand why you need people to engage in different ways. What are you ultimately trying to achieve? What is the mission of the organization? So the strategies that I develop reinforce the values and the mission of an organization. Because otherwise, what is the point? Because you can create games, and I see actually a lot of LMS, learning management systems, and strategies that quote unquote gamify things. But
Heavy quotes.
Yeah, heavy quotes. But they just put a badge on something and they say, ta-da! Little digital confetti. We gamified something. But if the gamification elements are not directly aligned to a strategic mission or a strategic outcome of a project, to me it'll fall flat. It's just gamification for the sake of gamification. There has to be a strategic mission behind it. So that was the first thing I need to understand is, why are you interested in gamifying something, and what is it, and what would be the outcomes, and what are people not doing today that they need to be doing?
Okay. And you're reminding me now of some of the posts I've read on your LinkedIn recently about why gamification fails. And I think you've hit on a few of those. Is there something else you'd like to add on that thread?
Well, first I would say a big watch out is if you are using points, badges, and leaderboards for just the sake of points, badges, and leaderboards, and it's not tied back to something more meaningful, then it will fail. Correction. You will get a slight increase in engagement and motivation, but the long-term sustainability of it will ultimately fail. Those points, badges, and leaderboards must tie back to a real strategy.
That just makes a lot of sense, right? And from instructional design perspective, you're making me think of that learning goal, right? And the learning objectives need to feed back into the learning goal. So just to add some of that ID language, I think it makes a lot of sense. It needs to align, right?
It does. Yes, people want to know what's in it for me. Why should I play this? And if the outcome is, well, you'll get a badge, it's like, so? And this is coming from an achiever who loves badges.
Right,
But,
says a lot.
Yeah, but if that badge demonstrates that I've contributed to the overall bigger picture of guest satisfaction or client satisfaction, or, you know, the outcome of whatever the project is that you're working on as a team, then it's more meaningful.
It's funny because my next question was, can you talk more about the with 'em?
Oh,
you literally just
I
said
just said that. Yeah. Well, and that goes back to, you know, reading that Switch book, you know, why
I like
you know,
Switch. I have read
Yes.
parts of Switch. I should go read
Yes.
the whole thing. I know I have
Yeah.
it upstairs. Yeah.
Yes, it's a great book, and I've done plenty like leadership group book clubs on it. The with 'em, the what's in it for me, that goes back to the epic mission. So I read a fantastic book around gamification called Actionable Gamification, and one of the key elements that was discussed that video game designers identify is, what is the epic mission of this game? Why should people play, and why should they keep coming back? And if that epic mission isn't strong, the rest of the game design starts to fall apart, because there is no reason to keep playing. I mean, that's why we keep playing Mario and we keep trying to save the princess, even though, you know, Bowser shows up every single time. You know, there's just a really fun, epic reason to play. It's engaging.
It's difficult. Old games are hard. They're hard.
They are hard.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm that video gamer who literally like moves her hands up and down to like have the character jump.
We've
where
all
it's
been
like,
there.
yeah,
We've all been there.
I
Yeah.
still play that way. I'm like, jump,
Yeah.
dang it. Yeah.
And I think if you looked at the landscape of gamers, I would be pretty low on the totem pole. You know, after college or even in college, I kind of stopped playing games. So it's a similar to experience I think to you had. It's like, I don't have time for that. You know, I have to grow up and I have to go, you know, even when I was overseas, I just, you know, I had to go out and take vacations. I didn't have time to sit at home and play video games.
Right. Right.
But I think now that I have kids, I'm sharing that with them. And that's been a really wholesome experience.
Do you have a favorite game? What's your favorite game?
The first thing that comes to mind is always Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is an explorer. You're going to other galaxies. It's very space oriented, which I like. Very animated, but it's also very dark and very aesthetic. Really, really calming music. So yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really ran with that one. But that's probably my favorite video game. But with my kids, I've researched. There's a whole new topic that I was not really as aware of when I was younger, and it's called co-op games.
Okay.
These became popular even back on Super Nintendo. So the 16-bit in early 90s, where you have a shared goal. So you can think back to even the Simpsons or even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade platforms, where you're trying to do the same thing. And there's even some side scrollers where the two characters work together, you know, and achieve the mission together. So
Is that like
that's what
Lord
I
of the
really
Rings?
wanna
No,
get.
not Lord of the Rings. World of Warcraft, sorry, is what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of co-op in that? I'm not
I
as
think
familiar
that's.
with that game.
I've never really played that. My husband played it quite often in college,
Okay.
and yeah, you had to get together a group of people in order to accomplish an objective. And there's a really funny YouTube clip about Leroy Jenkins, and if anybody knows, they'll probably bust out laughing on this one. But some of these quests that multiple people have to go on can take hours. And in this particular,
talk
like,
about it.
yeah, in this particular YouTube clip, like everyone's talking about like, okay, here's the strategy, we're gonna go in, and then one key player like wasn't in the room, and then all of a sudden showed up in the room, and he's like, Leroy Jenkins. He just leads the pack, and everyone else is like, no, we weren't ready yet. It's a good one.
I need to look that one up. That sounds really good. I mean, I took a gamification class in college. I got a master's in instructional design and educational technology.
Did
and that's
you?
something they talked about a lot. There's a name for these, like the mass online community gaming. I'm saying it wrong. I should have Googled it before I said it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Google
See,
it
like
quick.
that shows that we're only so much of a video gamer nerd, but we're more of a gamification nerd, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, we're looking up what it's called to play together in video game
I'm
dynamics.
so sorry. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut this out. Morph. All right, and we're back from our break. Yeah, so it's the massively multiplayer online role-playing game. It's that idea that there's a massive community online of people that work in groups and then they battle other groups. And terribly, from my perspective, from people that I've talked to, addictive, right?
Yes.
But also there's a sense of community, so maybe not a bad addiction. You know,
Yes.
there's probably worse addictions out there, I think.
I've heard too, like during the pandemic, like there were so many,
Sure.
People that connected by playing these joint games together, because what else did we have to do?
Yeah. I locked myself in my basement and got a master's degree. That was
Hey, you're smart.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my company paid for it. So hey.
That's
we all
a
had to do
good thing
something
to
get
do.
through.
That's right. Yeah. It wasn't until the tail end of the pandemic that I was like, oh, I should start a business.
That's good. Well, it's interesting that you did too. And I kind of want to hear a little bit more about what motivated you to actually go out. I know we talked about how you did it and what you do with that. But what was the driving motivation for you to kind of pull the plug on the JOB?
Yeah. It was slowly starting to build inside of me that I was ready to do something else. And I think this is where, again, like my imposter's never going to go away and the achiever in me, I'm always looking to unlock the next level of success. And so I happened to be in a job for 9 years. And what I loved about that job was every year it was slightly different. So I was creating newness in the role every year. However, after 9 years, I was like, okay, I'm kind of tired of been there, done that, and training other people. I'm ready to level up in a different way. And so I had just landed a new job, same company, and we were creating really amazing impact. And then the pandemic happened. So I think I was only 6 months in role. And so I had already started to identify I needed a new environment. I wanted to do something different. And then the pandemic allowed me a lot of free time to think about what impact do I want to make? What does that look like? How can I play to my strengths and use this unique skill set that I have? And so I can't remember if I've told you this in past conversations, but I came across the Ikigai concept, which is a Japanese word.
Yes.
It stands for reason for being.
Yes.
And if you Google this, there's a map, and my brain loves maps. So there's a map of 4 things, 4 quadrants that overlap, and you essentially have to play Connect 4. So I'll explain what these 4 segments are. If you draw 4 circles and basically have them interconnect in the center, the idea is to identify that center spot, which is your Ikigai, your reason for being, like why you want to wake up in the morning and contribute. The 4 quadrants are identifying what do you love to do. The second one is what are you good at? Because those are 2 very different things. Then the third is what does the world need? Or said differently, what problems exist in the world that you would love to help solve? And then the 4th quadrant is, and then what can I get paid to do? So I love that because it helps you think big. Like I had things like, I want to be a goat yoga instructor because that would be so much fun. But I didn't know, I wasn't a yoga instructor to begin with, and I don't have any goats. So I was like, oh, well, and then I could get paid, but probably not enough to pay all of my bills.
So how does that work for those that are listening? Why are goats involved? Did you make this up?
I did it. It's a thing.
Okay.
It is a thing. And
It's a
sadly, I've never actually experienced it.
Okay.
But I do remember actually coming across a woman who was franchising goat yoga because I looked into it.
So how are the goats involved? Because my experience with goats is they're pretty rambunctious.
So these are baby goats. So whether they're like
That'll change
dwarf, if they're dwarf goats or maybe just infant goats. I don't know if infant goats have a name. But they're just smaller and more fun. And I've seen pictures where you'll be doing like downward dog and a little goat will just like climb on your back and you're just laughing, having such a good time. And so I was like, well, that could be something I do. But this is, in doing this, in all seriousness, I identified that I'm really good at project management. I don't love it though. I'm good at it. That's what I was essentially doing in my previous role. What I love doing is being a subject matter expert about something and teaching others about it. And so that's when I started to realize, oh, well, I could be a consultant, I could be a coach, I can be a trainer, and that's how I can get paid. And then what is the problem that I want to help solve? Well, it still is the problem that I want to help solve is helping people move from being stuck in a place in their life to identifying the next best actions to take to create momentum and rebuild confidence and create in the world rather than be stagnant.
So a baby goat is called a kid.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I also had an Ikigai moment. I was in my backyard mowing the lawn, and I accidentally purchased this really great app called Headway, where they read you a whole book in like 10 minutes.
Oh.
And so I can go mow my lawn and listen to like 20 books.
Wow.
And one of them was one of the original Japanese books on Ikigai. And I remember I forgot it. I was trying to actually remember it for my blog, Improvement Dave. I wanted to write about it. And for the life of me, I couldn't find it, even on that app. And when I went to your presentation, that's when it came back up. So
that's right.
I'm happy that it keeps coming back into my life because it's such a fantastic idea, that quadrant of really honing in on what you need to do. I think just that idea would really help a lot of people.
Yeah, the other aspect I love about it, it's very different from the American dream, of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's so serious. Oh my gosh. With the Japanese, they don't believe you have just one Ikigai. The Ikigai grows with you as you grow in life. So
interesting.
What your reason for being is today could be different in a couple of years because you're ready to level up.
So that's nice how it kind of works in with what you're already doing. You sort of mentioned organizational development earlier, and I've always kind of wondered if you have a background in that, or what was your life like before, or what did you study, or any of that?
Yeah, I have a master's degree in interpersonal communication.
Okay.
Which is basically small group communication dynamics.
Okay.
So I've studied all aspects of nonverbal communication, intercultural communication, all sorts of communication. So it's not exactly a one-for-one with what I do today. And then I've gained organizational development experience in the roles that I've had, and I've gained change management experience in the roles that I've had.
Similar, right? Very similar.
Right. Same with project management. And so, I've learned enough to be dangerous and have gotten a couple certifications along the way.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well, I ask because I've done a lot of the work as a trainer, right? Working as a corporate trainer, you end up doing organizational development work. So I studied a bit of it in college for my master's and realized that all leaders have to do that now. That's kind of the new normal.
Yes.
It's becoming a kind of a lower level thing where you train all your leaders in this. So,
I would say the same for project management and change management.
Really?
There's aspects of that I think most leaders need to be aware of. And so in addition to designing gamification strategies for corporate or coaching leaders using my framework, I also am a facilitator of leadership development concepts. And so we talk quite often about the frameworks of change, how to help guide and coach and lead team members through change, how to guide and coach yourself through change, and then how to effectively manage projects.
Interesting. So I have a kind of a curious question about the solutions that you end up developing. Would you say, and you don't have to answer this in the way that I ask it, you can go anywhere you want with this, but do you find your solutions to be more of kind of the long form, like a video game format? Or are they more of like a short form, or a learning when you need it, or a micro learning? What resonated with you in any of that?
That's a really great question. So what the outcome and output of what I do looks like. They're usually low tech solutions. If tech is involved, it has a SharePoint site, maybe a chat feature, maybe some digital badges to a certain extent. But it usually looks like a very well put together strategy that involves communication within the organization. It involves leveling up leaders and helping leaders effectively communicate the vision, and then moving with individuals through change management. Like, I'm going to throw out a bunch of corporate jargon, but
Great.
essentially...
This is my corporate jargon at
Insert corporate jargon now. So behind all of the strategies I build, it's ultimately vision, strategy, and execution. It's change management, it's project management, and it's continuous improvement. If you were to Google each one of those things individually, they have their own frameworks. Basically, take all of it, jumble it up into this really pretty ball, and that equals gamification strategy. So output, it will be a 90-day, it can be a 90-day strategy where we're just looking to increase results within those 90 days. And usually what ends up happening too is whatever we're focusing on, it increases, but then it also finds other problem areas. So then we have to develop a different game to solve those things. And so this goes back to questing. The time frame in which I build things is for 90 days because continuous improvement and iteration. What did we learn? What worked? What didn't work? What's the next game going to look like? Yeah. So then from there, it can be a year-long's worth of effort, but 90 days worth of hyper-focus.
It's interesting. That's really helpful. I was always kind of curious what your output looked like or felt like.
Yeah, and in the world of gamification, you'd think, oh, I've got this high-tech, right? But I don't. And if anything, that's technology is one of the last things I talk about because it first stems with behavior change and strategy and getting that strong foundation together first. And then we layer in game mechanics. And at that point, we ask, okay, could we use technology to simplify this? And then which technology should we use? And I prefer to use whatever technology the company already has. Use the tools you're already paying for. How can we maximize those? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I love that approach. And it definitely aligns with proper instructional design. You don't want to go out and just use the bells and whistles that you love. That's maybe just what you want to do. Is that really going to help move anyone forward or reach any goals? And it also just makes business sense, right? Why go out and buy something when you already have... Most companies already have too many apps going on as it is, right?
Right. And listen, I shared with you how I was behind the scenes of some really large technology, and you've got integrations and HRIS systems and firewalls and single sign-ons. And if I could make your life easier as a leader and not have to add that complexity, you're more likely to hire me. I mean...
Awesome. So you mentioned a lot about goat yoga, but I'm also kind of curious what your favorite animal is.
It's a koala.
Why is it a koala?
I don't know. So they're so cute and fluffy, but actually when you research them, like they're pretty aggressive.
Kind of similar to the goat in a way. Kind of wild.
Yeah. I have always loved Australia. It's on my bucket list to go visit.
Same.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, when you're a kid, you kind of gravitate to a thing because that's what they ask you as a kid. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? What's your favorite food? So you pick one and it just becomes part of your identity. So Caitlin equals koalas. Yeah.
That's cool. So you asked what my favorite game is. I'm curious about what your favorite game is.
I'm really not that exciting with this answer, but my favorite games are like wordscapes if I was to do something digitally, or Scattergories if it was game board. What I like about both of these games is that you have to use the words and jumble them up to find other words. Or take a grouping of letters and identify what words are in those letters. So for whatever reason, I strategically just love to rearrange. And I think that's ultimately just how my brain works when you think about everything I've shared and how I gamify it. Like I'm taking big picture strategic concepts and I'm like word jumbling them into something new and exciting. And so after a long day of a workshop with people on gamifying strategies or gamifying their goals, I'll be on the airplane doing my wordscapes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very similar, right? Just using what you have and putting it in the right place so it works more efficiently. That's awesome. Yeah. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that I wish I would, that you wish I would? Wait, let's start that over. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you?
I think you've covered the bases because, I mean, as I was kind of going through our pre-show notes and getting prepared for this conversation, I was like, he should ask me, why don't I have a normal job? guys, I've touched on the fact that I have had quote unquote normal jobs, and now I'm in this entrepreneurial spirit. And it's truly because I was ready to level up and take on a new challenge. And I've been working at developing my business for 4 years, and I've had some really amazing wins. Actually, just co-wrote a paper on how to gamify STEM projects for the academic space, and had a chance to present it and do a workshop on the Princeton campus.
Is there a link to that you can share? That
It hasn't. You know what? Hopefully, by the time you publish this, we can get it in there, because it's finalizing its approval right now.
Fantastic. That's so exciting. How can people connect with you? I know you mentioned LinkedIn.
Yes, LinkedIn is where I hang out and play all day. And then, so just search Caitlin Johnson Gamification. You'll find me, because there's several Caitlin Johnsons out in the world. And then my website is www.bold, BOLD-bird, BIRD.com.
Great. Caitlin, thank you so much for spending time on GameLayer with me today. Really appreciate your time. And I just wanted to say, when I started this podcast, or when I was developing it, I wasn't really getting anywhere. And I did go through your presentation at ATD in St. Louis. And this idea of quests, you said you need to set up a quest for yourself. And I said, okay, well, what I'm going to do is set up a quest that I'm going to start this podcast. And then I sat next to you in that evening at dinner, and I shared with you, I was like, I'm going to start a podcast and I want you to be on it. And so this is coming full circle. And I just wanted to highlight that and celebrate that we've stayed in touch, and we finally made it
Nice
onto the
job.
show. And the show's happening. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well done.
Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun.
Good. Well, I am happy to support you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Well, have a great day, and I'll see you when you see me.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of GameLayer. This is David Colmer reminding you to stay present and never postpone joy. You can find transcripts of the show at gamelayer.fm, GAMELAYER.fm. Theme music by Caleb Willits. Thanks for listening. Now go, play.
I play chess.
I play Scrabble.
I play fauteuil. I play everything.
Hide and seek with my kids.
I play the piano.
I play board games.
I play guitar.
I smash it on the pitch.
I play chess.
I play Othello.
I play all the Marios.
I play Success Strategist.
I play Street Fighter.
Final Fantasy.
I play games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention.
There are many ways to play. Going for a walk together, doing nothing together is also playing. Anything that can cultivate your feeling of joy, relaxation, where you feel more recharged after doing that thing, and I think you can consider as something that we play with. I'd like to move to the domain of play